Hey guys, Chris Olka here with another T&E video. This is T&E number 12 for the Eastman EBB825. So, before we get started with the review portion of the video, I wanted to address a few things. The first being, this is not going to be an unbiased or objective review of this tuba model, mainly because I was heavily involved in its development from the very beginning, and spoiler alert, I'm thrilled with how it's turned out. So I wanted to let you know that up front, going into the video, you wouldn't think that I was trying to mislead you. I'm going to be honest, I love this tuba, and so I still hope that you find this video helpful. The second is about my speaking style when I'm doing these videos. I went back and listened to the last one I did, T&E number 11, and for that video I had written out a script so that I could kind of stay focused and to the point and make the video a little bit shorter. And when I listened to it, it sounded canned and unnatural, and it was annoying to me. So I apologize, but I like to speak off the top of my head. I keep my notes. I'll try to stay short to the point, but I wanted to let you know that going into the rest of the video. So some of you may remember about 3 years ago, I did a T&E video, T&E number 8 for the Eastman EBB825 model prototype, which was the basis for this 825 model that we have today. I think that instrument is a fantastic tuba. Eastman still makes the 562, and for the money, I just really don't think you can beat it. However, with the 825, what we wanted to do was target the very top level, high-end professional market for German rotary valve B-flat tubas. And the differences between the two models, I think, really is what defines this as a top-tier world-class orchestral or wind band instrument. So what are the difference between the 562 and the 825? The first thing is that the 825 has a 1-inch larger bell diameter. It's got the addition of a 5th valve, which is a hole step. It's got rerouted and rewrapped tuning slides that facilitate adjusting them while playing. And the entire tuba is handmade from lighter gauge sheet brass. So that really, those differences are a game changer, I think, and merit the extra price that you're going to pay for this model. The price right now, as of this video, the MSRP is $9,500 US, and the street price is probably going to be a bit less than that. I don't have any numbers, so I'm not going to put them on the video. So let's talk about these differences in no particular order. The bell. It's got a 1-inch bigger bell, which to me that translates into a slightly different tone. It's a little more colorful, and you combine that with the lighter gauge sheet brass that it's made out of, you get a very responsive, lively instrument. The 562 had a big sound the 825 has a massive tone. When I play this thing on stage, people turn, they notice right away. They've gotten used to the sound that I make on my my Eastman 836 model, which is, it's based on that York style American tradition sound. And everybody's become very comfortable with that and expected that from the tuba when I'm playing it in the orchestra. When I bring this on stage, it's completely different. It's a different sound, and to me, when I hear great German orchestras and their tuba players playing on these big rotary valve B-flat tubas, that to me is the epitome of the B-flat sound that I have in my head, and I can make that on this 825 very easily. So that 1 inch bigger bell combined with the lighter gauge sheet brass, tonally, it's a different animal altogether than your run-of-the-mill York tuba. The fifth valve, well, goes without saying, it'd be really nice for a couple of reasons to have that fifth valve. The first one being that now you have a completely, fully chromatic instrument all the way through the lowest notes that are available to a tuba player. And in addition, because you have that fifth valve, you've got an endless supply of alternate fingerings for technical passages that may make things lie easier, or intonation. If you want a different tone color, you can experiment with all these because now you've got that fifth valve. So that's a really welcome addition. I had talked about the tuning slides being rewrapped or rerouted. Probably the most notable thing when I got this instrument to test was a thing that I had been wanting to address for quite a while with a lot of rotary valve tubas, which is traditionally the first valve if there's not a good place to kind of access that first valve slide, and it's a traditional pull, you have to pull up from the top or try to reach through and move the slide while playing, but it doesn't give you much of a pull wherever your hand's resting. With this, if you can see in the video, it's kind of like a reverse tuning slide, and I was inspired by looking at trumpet players' first valve slides. And so you've got the outer stocking is on this portion of the tuba coming straight out of the first rotor. You can grab that outer stocking and not get grease and oil all over your fingers, and B, you can access it much lower. So as you can see, I can reach straight through the tuba here and grab this and adjust it easily. And I can adjust it for the full throw of that first valve slide. If you prefer to rest your arm somewhere, you can rest your arm on the lead pipe and you can still grab it. But the beauty is that now if you want to grab it lower, you can grab it lower and still get it to travel very easily up and down, in and out to adjust for pitch. The third valve slide is easily accessible back here. I think you can see in the video here, this is all the way in, but it's been lapped and aligned so that you can adjust this on the fly for 2 and 3 valve combinations if you want, or what I really like to use it for is if you're playing a low C, which is 2, 3, 4, 5. When I play that, it generally tends to be a sharp note. I can pull this thing all the way out and get an in-tune low C easily. But then when I want to play a low B, which would be a little bit flat with all 5 valves, I can push it all the way back in. You also are able to access the 4th valve slide from the rear easily, but it's also got another 4th valve slide that also, again, back here is easy to access while you're playing it. So the rerouted and rewrapped valve slides make adjusting pitch on the fly like no problem, super easy. Talking about intonation, how is the intonation on this tuba? In a word, it's really, really good. Very predictable. Almost identical to the 562 model because after all it is the same bugle and tapers with the exception of the larger bell on the 825. I find that very little slide pulling is required to play in tune, and anything that's sharp or flat is easily adjusted by lifting it up or down. The only note that I'm not absolutely thrilled with is the top line A natural second valve. With the second valve slide all the way in, it's still a little bit flat. You can lip it up playing at second valve, but I don't love having to do that. However, there is an odd alternate fingering that I've discovered, which is 1 and 2, first and second valve, with the first valve slide all the way in. It's spot on. That A comes out like gangbusters. Now, it's a little bit longer fingering, so, you know, in theory, it could be a little bit harder to center, but I haven't experienced that. It's counterintuitive because that's not how I think about playing an A on a B-flat tuba. But, you know, on a large rotary valve B-flat tuba, you're not going to be playing high A, well, I shouldn't say high A natural, but A at the top of the bass clef staff very often. So I think it's a minor thing, but I figured I should tell you. How's the low register? Well, listen to the video and judge for yourself. I think generally the low register is really good on this tuba. I find it very balanced. It's not too open like a lot of the larger bore German instruments that are out there. A lot of them, the rotary valve bore diameters tend to be 0.800 something or larger, and I feel like sometimes that can make those notes hard to center, and for sure it takes a lot of air. I mean, I'm a fairly good sized guy. I've got fairly big lungs, and I still struggle to really fill up a large rotary valve tuba. The bore size on this is 0.748 inches, which is ironically the same bore size as that York style tuba through the pistons. And I just find that's kind of a sweet spot for efficiency and response. So the low register on this tuba is very friendly. It's easy to center. Low C and low B natural are just wicked, man. If you want to get color and play in the shift on that, you can. If you want to like pet the cat and have this nice, warm, fuzzy, round sound, you can get that too. I think the low register is great. It's one of the highlights for me on this tuba. Ergonomics. You know, ergonomics is a personal thing. Everybody has their own take based on their frame and their size and their preferences. For me, I find this to be ergonomically very friendly, with the caveat being this is a large tuba. There's no bones about it. It's a big tuba. It's a handful of instrument. But for me, it easily sits in my lap. The lead pipe is fairly comfortable. The height and the angle are all what I would expect with most large rotary valve B-flat tubas. So I've got no issues. If you're not 6 foot tall or larger, if you're shorter than 6 feet, you may want to consider using a tuba stand. I mean, certainly that is easier, and a lot of people have gone that route. So, I think the ergonomics are good, but you'll have to find one of these and try it for yourself. But, I'd say it's kind of a neutral thing. It just depends on what your perception and your preferences are. So, the quality, build quality, slides, valves, the finish, everything is like it should be. I mean, a couple of years ago, we may have, been surprised that you could have an instrument that wasn't made in Europe that was of a really high quality, and so everybody was a little bit skeptical. I think Eastman has answered that question, and this 825 model, no exception. The build quality is really top-notch. And finally, the value of this instrument, the perceived value. For a street price of somewhere less than $9,500, to be determined, you'll have to go and look at a local Eastman dealer. I don't think you're going to find any other rotary valve handmade German style instrument out there for that kind of money. And so is it a good value? I think it's a game changer for professional B-flat tuba players. It used to be that there was this perception in the United States that if you wanted to be, perceived as a professional tuba player, you had to play on a C tuba with 5 valves. That's no longer the case. I'm saying you find the instrument that fits you. If you like rotary valves, great, we've got an option. If you like piston valves, there's plenty out there. You like B-flat tubas, look hard at this one. If you like C tubas, well, guess what? We've got that too. So I think that this just opens up even more choices for the tuba playing market, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. Remember to like and subscribe, and please share the video. Feel free to share as much as you like. And also feel free to comment, because apparently that's a thing on YouTube, that commenting drives the algorithms up. And, you know, hey, who doesn't like driving algorithms up? I don't know. So please do that. And then finally, swing by my website, which is chrisolka.com, and check out the online store for music and drills PDFs. My wife is my webmaster, and she would kill me if I didn't mention it. So swing by chrisolka.com. I think that covers it for now. I hope you find this video useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.